7.3.4b. Determine which of the following are critical points of f of xy equals 5x squared y squared minus 30x squared y plus 30xy squared minus 180xy plus 5. And it gives us 3 points. It gives us point A is 0, 6, B is negative 6, 6, and C is negative 6, negative 6. From the textbook, Module 7.3, Lesson 4, it says that the definition of critical points would be if either in type 1 both f sub x and f sub y are equal to 0 for that point, or in type 2 either f sub x or f sub y, or possibly both. In mathematics the word or can mean and or, but if f sub x or f sub y doesn't exist at that point, then that would be a critical point. The vast majority of what we will deal with in this class will be type 1 critical points, where both f sub x and f sub y are 0 at that point. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and find our f sub x and our f sub y. For f sub x, we want to treat x like a variable and y like a constant. So the term 5x squared y squared, I am going to do the power rule on the x squared, and 5 and y squared, both of those are constants that are multiplied. We had a constant multiple rule that said if you have a constant that's multiplied by a function, when you take the derivative, it will be that same constant multiplied by the derivative. So the 5 and the y squared are still going to be there. The derivative of x squared is 2x, so that 2x is going to get multiplied by the 5, and I'll get 10x. And remember, the y squared just comes down and gets multiplied because we treat it like a constant. We're going to do the same thing with the x squared in the second term. I have 30, that's a constant. I have y, that's also, we're treating it like a constant. The derivative of x squared is 2x, so that'll be 2 times 30, which is 60x, and then the y also we treat like a constant that's multiplied. Okay, the third term, I have 30xy squared. So if I had a number times x and I take the derivative, I will just get that number, because the derivative of 1x is 1. You can do power rule on it. X to the 1 would be 1, x to the 0. So if you think of it that way, that is safe. So the derivative of the third term is just going to be 30y squared minus, and then again I have an x to the first power, so its derivative is just going to be 1, and I'm going to get 180y. And the derivative of the 5 at the end is just 0. Okay, let's do the same thing for f sub y. This time I treat y like a variable and x like a constant. So this x squared in the first term is a constant. It's going to be part of the answer. And I do the power rule on the y squared. So the derivative of y squared is 2y. That 2 will get multiplied by 5, and that'll be a 10. I still have the x squared, because that was a constant that was multiplied. And so that's the derivative of my first term. Okay, next I have a number. I treat the 30x squared like it's a number times y. The derivative of that is going to be that number. So 30x squared plus. Okay, so now the next one I have a y squared. I'm going to do power rule on that and get 2y. That 2 will multiply by the 30 and give me a 60. Still have the x because that's a constant that's multiplied. And then times y minus. Okay, here again we have a number. I treat the 180x like it's a number times y. So the derivative of that was going to be 180x. And then last, the derivative of 5 is 0. Okay, so it looks like I could set both of these to 0 and try to solve them, but that looks like it might be somewhat disgusting to try to solve. It might factor pretty, but you know, we don't have to worry about it. because all we're trying to do is see if those are both 0 at these points. So I'm just going to pull in Excel at this point. Now if I had an open-ended question on an exam or something, and I'm trying to come up with my own points and I didn't have some that were given, I'd have a lot more work to do. But as it is, I just want to know whether these are critical points or not. All right, so this was point A, point B, point C. A is 0, 6. B is -6, 6. And C is -6, -6. All right, so now I'm doing f sub x and f sub y. Okay, f sub x, the formula is 10 times, and I'm just going to click on the x. That gives me the relative, or it gives me the position B2 rather than just the number 0. Obviously, I know that's going to be 0, right? It's getting multiplied, but I think it's going to save us time ultimately to type in the formulas. Times, okay, then I click on the y, and let's square that, minus 60 times x times y plus 30 times y squared minus 180 times y. All right, so far we've got f sub x of that one is 0. Let's check f sub y for that one. Equals. Okay, now I type in my function for f sub y. That was 10 times the x squared times the y minus 30 times the x squared plus 60 times x times y minus 180 times the x. All right, that one is also 0. So yes, that's a critical point. All right, now instead of having to type that all in again, I just highlight my two formulas. I go to the bottom right hand corner and it becomes a black cross. Your cursor becomes a black cross, and I just drag it down. And then I check to see if both f sub x and f sub y are 0. They are for B. They are not, however, for C. So in your answer choices, you would choose whichever one says that both A and B are critical points. Hope that helped.